Hi, Alex.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, my volume was down.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Matt. I don't know if you want to pick a different ratio, like you're seeing like the concrete blocks on the other side of the step and repeat banner.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to let me change that. Did you get the thing to work?
What thing to work?
The video?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Rebecca Smith Aldridge, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, joined here by our other co-founder, Matthew Bollerman, as well as our treasurer, Roger Reyes, and a special guest from the San Diego County Public Library, Miguel Acosta. And we're here today to give you our annual report, looking back at the year 2024 and sharing some of the highs of things that we are really proud of and things we've accomplished, as well as to give you a sense of what's going on with the project and what's coming up next here in 2025. So today we'll look at everything from membership numbers to our budget to the special projects we finished up last year, and really what's going on in the community of practice, which is honestly some of the most exciting stuff about the project, especially in light of the exponential growth that we saw over the past year. So first of all, we want to say thank you for joining us, because so many of the folks' names that I see on the screen right now are just part of this work. Some of you have been here for a very long time helping us develop ideas and resources for your peers across the world. And I know some of you are newer to this work, but we're so glad you're here, because it really does take all of us working on these topics to make sure our libraries are as responsive and relevant as possible during a very challenging time in our history. So continuing this work is something we're very passionate about, and Matthew's certainly going to speak about that towards the end of our presentation. And then, of course, we'll have a little time for questions and answers. If there's anything on your mind that we didn't touch on or things you're curious about, we welcome questions from anyone in the audience here today. If you got a question that can't wait, you can always pop it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to it when we get to that point. But once we get to the Q&A, we can also have folks raise their hand and unmute them, so you don't have to wear out your fingers typing out a question. So if everyone's ready to go, I'm ready to go. How about you, Matt? Good to go.
Yeah,
Roger,
let's
good to
go.
go. Let's do it. All right, so 2024 was pretty amazing. I know I say that every year when we get together to do these annual reports, but the amount of growth we saw was just truly remarkable. Seeing a 600% increase in membership and a 170% increase in folks going through the certification program was just enormous. We really felt like this was the year, right, that it really took off, and we saw just so many folks finally get to the spot where they realized they were ready and they really wanted to dive in and do this work. And that's been extremely exciting. So we'll talk more about that and what that landscape looks like for folks who are in that program, finishing up that program, and really the most important thing, what kind of impact that is having on people's institutions and most importantly, their communities. We were happy to welcome in new association partners from both Virginia and Maine, and our first national association, the Association of Research Libraries, which is pretty amazing. To be working with that group of folks and really seeing our academic program start to grow, much like the public library program started to take off a few years ago. So that's extremely exciting. And then, of course, something that kind of makes it all work is ALA reaffirming that sustainability is still a core value of our profession. We were certainly glad to see that happen. So for those of you that weren't following along with the task force at ALA, we used to have quite a long list, over a dozen core values of our profession. And as you all know, as professional library folks, it's really hard to have that many priorities. So this list has been winnowed down to 5 of the most critical things we need to be focused on. So seeing sustainability on that list is a very good sign that folks across this profession understand the importance of the work going on here at the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, and they're throwing their weight behind it to make sure that our profession is growing into the future in really a smart and conscientious way. Our other huge highlight of last year was the creation of the National Climate Action Strategy, along with the implementation guide, because our goal here is to help accelerate work in this area. We all know no one is working fast enough on this topic, including our own profession. So this was a project that was designed to get people's attention, get them working, and help them see that it's doable. And we can only do that thanks to the work of so many of the people on the call here today. So we'll dive into that a little bit while we've got your attention. But just going a little deeper on some of these highlights we want to do here today, you really start to see the scope of working with the associations across the country, with others knocking on our door already this year, which is very exciting. But we're really starting to, get beyond the East Coast, which had been our kind of playground for a very long time. So working with Virginia, getting out to Iowa, in the middle of the country has been really cool, and meeting a lot of new people. And then again, having a national association as part of this network of activating people to get involved, understand this better, and to learn from each other. This is how it's going to work. This is by design to activate people's not only interest, but action. And this is what it takes, is that kind of buy-in from folks who get it and are willing to do some legwork and figure it out, and open these doors for other people to come and join us do this work. So some of these folks were brand new, as you saw on the first slide. Others of these folks have re-upped. So we basically signed second or third year contracts with Iowa, New Jersey, and of course our New York friends, which have backed us from day one. I think might have signed the longest MOU with us in history. But just for those of you who might be in states that are not represented here, something we want to be super clear on is no money is exchanging hands here. This is an agreement to help promote the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, as well as to give all of their members access to the SLI resources and a discount on the certification program. So again, a way that associations are adding value to their members, and as well connecting them with our benefits to make sure that we've got as many folks exposed to what's going on here as possible. So we really want to thank our association friends for seeing the value of what we're doing and helping again to widen that doorway to get more people to the work and the resources that are going on here. So we've got partnerships kind of all over the place, not just in the association world, but also really key organizations in our profession. We really appreciate ALA's partnership and continuing to give us a platform for continuing education for folks that really want to dive in deeper on the topic of sustainability. So we're happy to be offering the e-course again. We've got over 50 people in the cohort right now. And it's been really wonderful. A number of the folks on the call helped me with that class and moderating and answering questions that come up from the students. And I can't tell you the number of them. I think we're pretty close to 100% of them saying, this is the right time to be taking this class, to find hope in really a path forward in what's going on in our world today, to understand the good that we're doing already, how to talk about it in some new ways, and connect with things that really matter to people moving forward. So as always, we thank ALA for their partnership and their understanding of how important sustainability is to this profession. OCLC and WebJunction, they've been with us for over a decade now, continue to do great work in supporting our mobile app, as well as continuing to create platforms for us to be talking in the profession about important things. The most recent recording, which you can see for free on the WebJunction website, is related to communicating about climate change in a shifting political environment that we all find ourselves in. What are the ways that we can be talking about this that don't set people off, that help them find a safe path to work together on very critical and important things? So I think it was a very timely and important opportunity that was given to Matthew and I to speak about that with some other experts across the country who are also in very conservative areas, but still doubling down to do good work in these areas. We don't want to see that slowing down, regardless of some concerns we can see expressed by language we might be being shied away from in some cases. But we all know that work has to continue, regardless of the language that we're using to do it. So as we mentioned, the National Climate Action Strategy was something that had been, I'll just say, on my wish list for a very long time, because again, just like the core value and having that similar shared vocabulary to talk about what needs to happen and how it needs to happen, that was a big turning point in our work back in 2019. And this is a new, I think, I don't want to say turning point, but leveling up of helping people understand what we mean by the language that we're using. When we finally defined sustainability using the triple bottom line is when we we saw people totally get it and understand what we're talking about and making it really doable for people in agencies of all sizes, all shapes, all different types of budgets to see themselves reflected in their abilities to do this work. The National Climate Action Strategy is designed with a couple of things in mind. One, to get us all on the same page about where to spend our precious time and energy and resources, to make sure we're focusing in on those activities, whether they're building focused, program focused, collection building, partnerships we're seeking, disaster preparedness work that needs to happen in our communities, to make sure we're focusing in on the things that are going to matter the most. And then giving people super practical ways to get started, great examples they can relate to, regardless of what type of library they're in, and really helping people who are like you, who get it, who understand the need and feel the urgency, tools to help you make the case, whether it's to administration or to our board of trustees or to your colleagues in an institution, for why we need to be thinking and maybe talking differently about some of the things we're doing. So we're really proud of this work, and we know we'll iterate on it to make it even stronger for what people need. But achieving this on the timeline that we did without the grant funding we were counting on, I think is something that we're super, super proud of. So if you haven't seen that, I hope you check it out and come to a program we're doing actually right on Earth Day. The Public Library Association is sponsoring a free webinar where we're able to roll out this to more people who maybe weren't aware this happened last year. Now, of course, we can't do what we do without not only the people power that you see on this call today, but it does take cash to make good things happen. And so we really want to take a moment here to thank the Suffolk Cooperative Library System, who is really the force behind the scenes as not only our fiscal agent, but the physical home of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. Roger Reyes is here, who is the treasurer of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, but also the assistant director of the Suffolk Cooperative Library System. And the work that Roger has done to find us this home and find funding for staff to help people through the certification program and organize our activities in a way our small but mighty group of volunteers certainly had good intentions to do. But honestly, we all have day jobs and we're all really committed professionals. So the exponential growth that we've seen is really a tribute to the Suffolk Cooperative Library System, their investment and trust in the project. And Roger, we just really want to say publicly, thank you so much for everything you do to make this all possible. You and Kevin you took a big chance on us a number of years ago, and wow, I hope we've made the most of it. So Roger's going to talk more about finance in just a minute, but we also want to acknowledge that the member libraries of the Suffolk Cooperative Library System also do fundraisers during the year and contribute some of their money to our project. CCP, which is a local business down on Long Island, super early investor. They actually underwrite the print relief program that all members are benefiting from to offset the printing we do in libraries. They plant trees on behalf of libraries for free. So we're able to add that to our carbon reduction work that we're doing. And our newest sponsor is SSI Cards, which helps us answer a question we get all the time, which is there a better library card material we all could be using? And they have an answer for you on that. So I hope you'll check them out and let them know that the Sustainable Libraries Initiative is part of the reason you're asking them the questions that you may have. But we really wanted to give you a sense of what this costs to do and how we make it happen. Every once in a while, people are a little grumbly that we charge for the certification program. But as you can see, it does take infrastructure to support everything we do here. So I'd like to invite Roger, who, as I mentioned, is our treasurer, to explain where the money comes from and how we spend it so you can see that.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. And certainly, as you said, it's SCLS, which is comprised of our member libraries, our 56 libraries here in Suffolk County, and our board of trustees are all backing this project, wholeheartedly with what we do. And the financial view that we're going to look at is just the cash based of what we do. As Rebecca mentioned earlier, the overhead, the space, all that is taken care of by SCLS, and there is no charge for that. We're happy to do this on behalf of all of our libraries across the country and now across the globe. We have a European member now. But so, basics of our revenue from 2024, we're looking at, total revenues about $92,000, and 85% of that is made up from our membership. You out there that have joined and become members and pay an annual membership fee, pay a membership fee for the certification program. That all goes into that one pile of money that we're collecting for membership. And as we say, that year over year, it's not a lot of money. We try to right size the thing because, those of us who've created this are all in the library world. So we understand how tough it is out there. So, and SCLS understands that and knows that we can't outprice the market. And then there would be no one, participating. So we feel we've priced it and right-sized the pricing for everybody. So that's our main income. And then 13% of that comes from our contributions when we partner with ALA to do e-course, and a number of our board members do have opportunities to do speeches and programs and different things around the country. And those honorariums, they're donating back to the project. So not only are they volunteering, but they're also then contributing their honorarium money back to the project. So that's where those come from. And then finally, that tiny little piece of 1% is from our sponsors. And that's something that, is up to me and the rest of the board. And those of you out there, that are part of it, if you know a vendor that's, doing good work and believes in sustainability and would like to support our efforts, certainly send them our way and we can have a chat with them. And we look to grow that number, support from outside of our agencies like CCP and PLDA and SSI cards. We'll move on to the expenditures. So our expenses for the year. So you can see the lion's share of that is in salaries. Again, and that's reflective of what the SLI is paying directly on top of what SCLS pays. And then our second largest is 28%, and that one is our membership discount. So really to explain that is what Rebecca spoke about earlier, that we have MOUs with all those associations and no money crosses hands. We're doing it in a bartering exchange for mechanism. But when we give that 12-month free membership that normally costs $50, we bill that out at $50 and then apply a $50 discount because we want to make sure that we can, at the end of the year, tell those associations, this is how many memberships we issued that were at no cost, so that they have a dollar value that they can place on the value they're providing to their membership. So we take that out of expenses. So we show it on the income side, we take it out, as well as the discounts that we give for cohorts and different groups. The state associations for the certification program also receive a discount. So that's where that is located. And then the 13% for programs and conferences. So we're looking at things that Alex, Sophia, myself, that we go out to all the state association conferences. Although we have an MOU that says we get a booth and a program session, we don't get our travel and our hotels paid for. So that's a compromise. That 13% is on top of that, what we're paying to send our staff out and about to these conferences on top of our other costs. And then you have 7% of our expenditures go to our website maintenance. We have a great website that we constantly calling the developers and changing and adding as we go along, new different resources. And then the final, there's two items at 2% are materials, things that we give away are Sprout pencils. We abide by our sustainable swag guidelines. So, we have some things that we give out at the conferences. And finally, the other 2% is software. We have SurveyMonkey that we use as part of the program and MailChimp. So those things all go into play. So that's the breakdown of our expenses for the year.
Cool. Thank you, Roger. So as you can see, a lot of thought goes into how we pull this off, and that's much thanks to the board, the advisory board of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, which is really a powerhouse group behind the scenes that has shaped this work for a decade now. We're actually in our 10th year here in 2025. And what you might not realize is we meet monthly. We also have an annual retreat where we think through how it's going, how to fine tune things, and how to make sure we're connecting with as many people as possible. And at our retreat in 2023, we identified one of our top goals for 2024 is to do more work to help people in our field measure as well as tell the story of what's going on, because we can just see so much good work going on from our perspective, but our library is getting as much mileage out of that as possible to tell the story of all the amazing work they're doing through our program. So we have three things we wanted to share with you we've been doing on this topic over the past year. And Roger's going to kick things off with a new tool we've created called the Energy Consumption Report, which was his brainchild and he's brought to life for everyone. So Roger, why don't you explain that one for everyone?
Sure. So the energy consumption report, in library land, numbers aren't as big as words for most of us. I happen to be the one who geeks out on the numbers. So, being able to tell the story, and when we think about advocating and going out and telling politicians or lay people or patrons or whoever it might be the story about what we're doing, the power of numbers and dollars, definitely weighs in. People are concerned, all right, well, you're doing great things. Tell me how much did that cost me? Or tell me how much did that save me? So, we came up with the idea of monitoring all of our energy consumption and reporting out on making these choices and decisions we have is not only making an environmental impact, but it's also making a dollars and cents financial impact for the libraries. So you can go to the first slide. This is for SELS. So again, I've been collecting data for a long time, since prior to 2014, but I started here at 2014 to just give us a 10-year picture. And what we're looking at is a very abbreviated version of the consumption report. But I just want to give the gist of what's in there. And Alex, if you wouldn't mind, if you would throw the full report into the chat so people can look at it at some point in time if they'd like afterwards. So here what we're looking at is the electrical consumption of our building here. We're at about 38,000 square feet. And you can see it was pretty level at 2014 and 2015. I started in 2009 and really started looking at holistically what we're doing and why we're spending $100 and some odd thousand a year in electric, and what can we do to formulate a plan to get that down to a reasonable number, and even maybe an unreasonable number, unreasonably low number. So over the course of the years, we've installed solar is the biggest one. That's the 17, 18, 19 numbers when we were installing two different sets of solar arrays. We have about 1,000 solar panels. We produce about 87%. We have 87% reduction in our consumption of electric, and we produce almost 75% of the electric that we consume. So you can see our dollar values here, and this is where I want to point out what we can show you and what we can show your politicians and your board. So in 2014, we consumed 538. You can go back. Oh, go back. Yep, we consumed 538,000 kilowatts. In 2024, 73,000. At the per kilowatt cost in 2024, if we were still consuming around 530,000 kilowatts a year, our budget would have been $261,000 for electric. We paid $35,000. That's a savings of $225,000 just in 2024. And I went and calculated this out every year for those 10 years, and it netted at a $1.2 million savings year over year over year. And you can see that at the last 4 years, we're averaging about $212,000 a year in savings because the solar was finally finished. And this is where we're really kicking in the big savings going forward. That $1.2 million paid for my building system, my building control system. It paid for all the insulation we did. It paid for all of the solar we installed. So my return now after 10 years, I've paid for everything we've done to improve the building. And going forward, we're going to save $220,000 a year. That's just right out of our pocket. That's not coming out of our pocket anymore. So that's what we want to be able to show libraries in the long term, that sustainability doesn't end and our project doesn't end when you're certified. You're going to keep working over the years to keep making the improvement and using these numbers and these statistics to kind of plan and guide you moving forward. So you can show the next slide, Rebecca. So water use. Again, not all of the slides are going to be pretty and happy, but it's going to tell you the picture, but you have to decide what happened here. So for us, 2020, we were at about 400,000 gallons of water being used. We undertook a 2-year renovation project to our facilities around the outside of the building, which included new septic systems. So the first thing the contractors did was ripped apart our sprinkler system when they were digging. So we had no sprinklers for a few years. So, 2 seasons. So that's why you see that dip way down for a couple of years. And then the precipitous spike from 23 to 24, when the new sprinkler system was back online, covering more property. We had a lot of dead zones of plantings and natural life and grasses that were dying because, for 50 years, there were no sprinklers there. So the improvement project did end up costing us more money at the current rate, but it lets me look at how now that I want to bring that number down. Do I change my watering cycles to 3 days a week rather than 4 days a week? What do I need to do to bring that number down? So we're looking at everything holistically and seeing, not only the good, but this here is where is our area for improvement. So you can go on to the next one. And then finally, our building fuel consumption. And this is, basically the gas, which is mainly used for powering our HVAC units during the winter time. So you can see when 18 was a particularly colder year, and as the temperatures are getting warmer. So yes, I don't want to pretend like we had a huge effect because we've been kind of level, over the years in our consumption, and it's going down. And obviously, as these winters get less severe, the need for heat is going to be less. But again, we're looking at it in true terms from 2018. If we were still at that high level, we would be paying $30,000 instead of $18,000 for our consumption. So those are some of the things that we're able to show and graph and kind of bring numbers to life. In the full consumption report, we're telling the financial and environmental story of your journey and where you're going. And the full version includes greenhouse gas equivalents and greenhouse gas avoidance. So as well as these numbers, we're showing then here's the equivalent of how many gallons of gas that would have been, how many truckloads of garbage that go into the landfill, and then what are a carbon offset for that? What are our greenhouse gas? What did we avoid? Our avoidances by making these changes. So we want to show both ways. We want to show them in dollars and cents, and we want to show everybody in greenhouse gas emissions that we can do 2 positive things in one. We can make a positive change on the environment, and we can make a positive change on our budget.
Thank you so much, Roger, because I think this is exactly where we get a lot of questions about the National Climate Action Strategy. So one of the first things we call for is benchmarking. So we can actually measure the good work that we're doing to demonstrate that we've lowered our carbon footprint. And of course, a lot of the powers that be that oversee our organizations also want to know that we're saving money while we're doing it. So great project that I think a lot of people are going to be excited to tap into. And Roger, if you don't mind, I have one thing I was hoping that you would also share before we move on here today, which is the amazing work you did to design the new plaques for those folks that get certified. Because again, we always try to live our values out loud, and you did an awesome job. You hit it out of the park on this one.
Yep. So the first slide, that we were warmed up to was a picture of the certification plaque. So, we were addressed with an issue when we bought the original plaques. They were $45 a piece. And we bought 25 of them. Oh, that'll last us a while. Well, that really didn't last us too long. We undershot what we thought we'd be using. We got in touch with the vendor again, and it went up to about $250 post-COVID. I guess, the vendor was trying to make up for lost time. And we don't, we can't afford that. We charge $250 for the whole certification program. We can't give you a $250 plaque. So, we were tasked with coming up with another idea. What is the solution? And, our staff put on our sustainable thinking hats. Alex and I, we looked at it and we said, well, how do we address this? How do we do this sustainably? So we said, well, maybe we can make our own and kind of show libraries that if you think sustainably, you can do something. So we went out to a company out on the east end of Long Island, Lumber and Salt, which is a really great reclaimed place with all kind of wood and, artifacts and things. Went out there and talked to them. You can see on the left side, the pile of wood that I picked, it's all gray and not really pretty looking wood. And we're like, all right, we're interested in that pile, a bunch of pieces from there. I got to talk and he's like, and I had my library van with me. And he's like, what are you doing with it? And I told him the story about we're libraries and this is what we want to do. And he said, I use that Overdrive Libby app all the time. I love it. He offered us a 25% discount because he liked the work that we were doing and believed in doing this. So this is reclaimed wood. It's what's under there is Brazilian red-hearted mahogany. So it's reclaimed barnwood that we're using for the background. And then we had a partnership with the local framing company, woodworking company, Framerica, that during COVID, they did some cutting work for us when we were building face shields for our local hospitals and EMS centers. So they agreed. They said, sure, bring us the wood and we'll cut it down to your size for you at no charge. And then we said, well, how do we make this pop? We need something on there. So we decided we needed some color, something. So that blue piece that you see there, I had a bunch of library shelving that we had left over in the back of our building. You can see the lower left picture. I went to Llewellyn Waterjet and said, hey, I need these cut into, sized pieces for us. And again, told him the story. And lo and behold, he lives behind one of our local libraries and said, my wife and kids are there all the time and said, we'll give you 20% off. So again, another discount, another partnership that we forged just by being a library and telling them our story. So he cut those up for us, and you can see the middle right picture. That's where it's getting close to being mounted. And then we partner with Sachem Public Library, their studio. That lower right picture is their laser engraver. They helped us design and the layout for the actual certification plaque. And then they laser engraved it on top of that library shelving and cut out the logo, the certified library logo on their machines and provided them to us. And then we bring them back here to our building and our maintenance staff then assembles the final product. So we decided to use library materials, reclaimed materials, partner with our member libraries using equipment that we can say to people, hey, this is equipment that libraries now have. They have maker spaces, they have labs like that. And the total cost for the project, each one of those now costs us $23. So we not only went from 45 to 23, cut our cost in half, but we're doing it ourselves. And we're partnering with people in the community that we can be proud that this is something that we're doing with our own stuff. We're not going outside, we're doing it ourselves.
Roger, thank you so much. It's one of my favorite stories of the whole project that we've ever done. It's such a great exemplification of what we mean when we say, live your values out loud. So thanks for sharing that story. The third thing we did last year was really thinking about helping our members tell their stories. So we've been soliciting stories, called this program Lessons from My Sustainable Library, so that folks in our program can teach others in the profession what this looks like, how they did it, how excited they are, and how the people around them are excited. So you'll see through our social media feeds now these little package stories from folks that have finished their certification program and things they're super proud of. This one you might recognize because it was also Ashley from the School Librarian was also featured in School Library Journal with this story. So it's getting picked up in other places, which is very, very cool. So I think you can see a number of our libraries represented. You can learn from them. All types of libraries are represented here, public, school, and academic. But that really speaks to probably the crown jewel of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, which is the community of practice. And we were so thrilled to see last year a record number of libraries complete the certification program, which those of you who have taken a look at it or involved in it or have done it yourself, you know, is a huge accomplishment. So seeing 15 more members being certified last year and now having a body of 45 libraries, as well as librarians, school librarians who can speak to doing the work. This is what happened. Here's why you should also be working in this area. Literally to a person. They are happy to be a spokesperson for this project because they saw the good that it did, not only for their library, but for those that they serve. So we're super proud to be partners with these libraries and these librarians, and just really want to do a good job of helping them tell their stories because they've put in excellent work. And it's stuff that you often don't get recognized for, and we want to make sure they do. So they've inspired a whole new host of folks to come and join what we're doing. We had 65 new members join, as I said, a huge number last year, join the certification program, and lots of new members who are checking us out, finding out what's going on, to see what the path they're going to pick for themselves. And we've also crossed a couple of new thresholds in terms of where in the world we are. We've certainly gone beyond the East Coast, across the country, up into Canada. And as Roger mentioned, our latest member joining the certification program is from Greece. We got an academic library at an American university who has joined the certification program. So the number of people we're learning from on almost a weekly basis is just extraordinary. And just, you know, thinking sometimes, and this is a nice occasion to do so, to take a step back and recognize that each of these organizations is on their own journey and doing really cool stuff. And they're trying things out that we can all learn from, which is, I think, having a really big ripple effect to inspire other people to also do work in this direction, perhaps with a new mindset, which has been the ultimate goal of this project since day one. So we've been working it. We've been out there. We're trying to meet as many people as we can. Again, record number of events we went to last year to meet folks who are interested in the work that's coming out of this project. And I just want to give a shout out to Alex and Sophia. They were road warriors this year, getting out there in person to conferences across the country, along with a number of our board members who, again, often on their own dime, are going to conferences, coming to events, going to speaking engagements in their free time to help spread the word and tell the story of what's going on here and how other folks can get involved. So we know the power of hearing from folks who are like you, who have done this work. And that's why I was so excited when I saw Miguel Acosta is here today. And I wanted to invite him onto the screen because we think it's really important that you hear from other people, not just us, who have been engaged in this work and sometimes very early adopters of this work. And Miguel is the director of the San Diego County Library, which is by far the largest library that has completed the certification program. And honestly, when Miguel knocked on the door to say we'd like to do the program, we kind of looked behind us like, this program? Oh, okay. It was really pretty phenomenal. So Miguel, I want to thank you for taking some time today to share this event with us, but also to say a little bit about your experience and what it's meant to not only your institution, but your community.
Thank you so much. So I'm laughing because I don't mind sharing that I became aware of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative when its main focus was in New York. And Rebecca, you're being kind. You may not recall, I was sending you emails pestering, let me know when it's nationwide. Let me know when it's nationwide. And when it became nationwide with full intentionality, I wanted to be the first California library to join and to get certified. I don't know if we were the first, but I certainly tell people we were the
You are the first.
And I'm sharing that because it was so important to us, to our community, to our governing board, the Board of Supervisors, because we had already been doing so much effort around sustainability that I wanted to really do what we could to highlight the program, to be a model, a resource for other libraries to join the program. So the fact we're at 45 libraries is just amazing to me. Congratulations. It's really wonderful. We got our certification last year and we just were so proud of it. It's a clear reflection for us of our dedication to environmental stewardship. And the achievement, like I said, wouldn't have been possible without our customer support, our Board of Supervisors support, and also our dedicated staff. Of course, if you've gone through the certification process, it's work. It's a lot of work. It's meaningful work. It's rewarding, but nevertheless, time and effort. And so we thank them. We continue our efforts. So certification was one milestone, and we continue to build on that. And, you know, in my mind, I have this dream and vision of one day becoming a completely solar powered library system, just to mention one element of sustainability. We have several library buildings that are already zero net energy and gold LEED. Our newest library that's going to begin construction, we've now included captured carbon technology. So in the actual framing of the library, advancing more sustainability goals. And then this calendar year, we've deployed 4 brand new fully EV outreach vans. So, and those vans, their home base, are at our solar powered libraries. So they're getting their battery charge from solar and then going out and doing outreach. So I just wanted to share with everybody that we continue to reaffirm our commitment to sustainable innovation together. And I mean all of us and our future partners. We're building a greener, more resilient future for our community. And then finally, to make that offer publicly, we're here to help. If anybody is deciding to join in the process anywhere, we're more than happy to be a resource to help with that process. And thank you so much to have this opportunity to share our story.
Oh, Miguel, thank you. We appreciate you so much. And I did want to give a shout out to your colleague, Susan Moore, who I know Matthew, as your mentor, got to work with on a regular basis. And what a pleasure to meet her last year, to present the plaque to her, and a nice team of people you've got over there.
Well, just a side note, Susan would have been happy to join, but she retired recently.
Oh, good for her. Nice, Miguel. Thank you so much. It's so special to hear directly from you today.
Thank you.
Good. We had a few other stories from the field that we wanted to share with you today. Today, we don't have our team from Syosset with us, but this is our first team of 3 school librarians from Syosset High School, led by the award-winning librarian, Christina Holzweiss, who I think is pretty famous in the school librarian world, if I'm not mistaken. She was School Librarian of the Year a couple of years ago. But to see them tackle this and make the most of it in their school community was very, very important. And I think hearing their words and understanding where they're coming from, it really speaks to that whole idea of education as a whole, which it is what you make it. And taking the certification program and turning it into what you need it to be to support your program or your institution, make the case for how important you are in those environments where maybe you don't have as much control as you wish you did. The certification program can build that path in many cases to help librarians, particularly in school settings, really make their mark and stand out and raise the profile of the library over time. But to hear, I think the most important thing to me on this slide was when Christina mentioned that the positive impact on the students and the faculty, right? That's what we're in it. That's why we're doing this, is to make sure we're making a difference in the lives of the people that we serve. So shout out to Syosset High School for all the great work they did last year. And then we had one of our friends up in Vermont. For many of you may know, Vermont is such an early adopter. Our board member, Margaret Woodruff, spearheaded an opportunity for, I believe, at this point, almost 24 of her peers to become certified through the Sustainable Library Certification Program. And Claire McFarland from the Norman Williams Public Library sent us a message to share with you today. They are the first library in Vermont to be certified.
Participating in the Sustainable Library Certification Program was a great experience for our library. It provided practical tools and valuable insights, empowering our library to implement more sustainable practices, reduce waste and costs. The support from the SLI team was terrific. Completing the certification enhanced our library's operational efficiency and inspired us to make more sustainable choices in our daily operations. We're proud to be a certified library and are excited to continue building on the positive changes we've made. I highly recommend the program to any institution seeking to create a lasting impact on their community.
Oh, how nice to see Claire and hear from her today. Really cool to see that she's finished the program. As a lot of you on this call know, small libraries are mighty. And so the fact that our largest library over there in San Diego County, down to some of our smaller libraries in Vermont, are finding this to be meaningful and worthwhile experience, I think really makes all of us on the advisory board smile, because that was our hope at the inception of the design of this, was to make that scalable for folks of any size library. We had another big first, which is the first library in Massachusetts last year, the Concord Free Public Library. Folks really know them now across the country thanks to what they did, because they are one of the first libraries to have a true sustainability plan adopted by their board that ties into sustainable development goals, ties their strategic priorities to the work they're doing on sustainability, and aligns a lot of their thinking with their municipality, which has opened the door to a lot of new opportunities for them, both in terms of partnership and funding for their library. So if you are so inclined, you can go read Emily's statement here in the annual report. Alex is going to share a link to the print annual report if you're interested in that. And then the final thing I wanted to share with you is that here in my own system, the Mid-Hudson Library System, we had our second member library certified last year, the Kinderhook Memorial Library, which is up in Columbia County, and one of my favorite examples, because the director that got this started went on to be the director of the New York Library Association. And this was her final act, was to help their library join the certification program. And then she skedaddled. And Matthew Pavlov, the director there, was like, okay, let's do this. He's like, I'm not sure what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out. And so I think using that certification program to fine tune their thinking, hone their goals, and really speak in a new way about the importance of their library, I've been able to have a front row seat to see it happen here in my system in a smaller library setting, which has been extremely special. But I want to turn things over to my colleague, Matthew Bollerman, the other co-founder of the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, to wrap up our presentation here and show kind of the wider look. We'll start off here with a wider look of how people are perceiving what we're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Other people are taking notice of the work that's going on at the SLI. And so we've had some great mentions in various press throughout the year. Miguel was written up in How Libraries Are Becoming Sustainable in an Our Towns article. You mentioned School Library Journal, Fast Company, and really all over the place we were getting recognition. And of course, two of our outstanding advisory board members were named a mover and shaker by Library Journal this last year, both Hazel and Nardia. So that was really exciting to see. So in New York State, the Suffolk Cooperative Library System was recognized with one of the highest awards that we offer to library and library workers in our state, which was the Joseph F. Schubert Library Excellence Award. And that was given out at our last annual conference in November. And you can see all those happy faces receiving the award, including two of the staff for the SLI in Alex and Sophia. So it was just a great night for them to be recognized for the work that they've done to keep this project going. So we have a number of mentors. You mentioned one of the crown jewels of the project is our community of practice. And I think for those who undertake the certification program might say it's the mentor. Could be their reason that they were able to finish it all or had any kind of success, or were able to kind of get through the dark spots of maybe their thinking or trying to finish this thing. And here's a list of some of those folks, many of whom do other jobs within the Sustainable Library Initiative. Many of them are advisory board members, but some of them just have gone through the program already and are trying to give back to others as they work through it. So is there 3 pages of these, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try to get everyone's picture. We made sure that they were the photo they wanted to use. So thank you so much to all these folks who volunteer their time to do this great work. And that's the last one, right?
Yeah.
So we have a volunteer advisory board who oversees kind of the policy and decision making and making sure that this SLI continues. Rebecca, you've been the president from the outset for us, and I've been your vice president through it, and happy to do so. And we have some other just great people. Lisa Kropp is our secretary, Roger's our treasurer, and we have some terrific board members. We were excited to add some folks in 2024 to the board, and I think we're excited to do so. I know we're excited to do so again in 25. So, do you have that list of those folks?
Yeah, just not quite yet.
Oh, okay. So, what we're looking to start up for next year is we're under discussions about adding a certification path for individuals. Now, you might say, Matt, hey, I thought you have that thing for school librarians, and that's true. Because of the nature of their control over some of their building and policy issues, it's a little more challenging. So it is kind of a certification for an individual, but we're talking about for other folks, other levels, other professions throughout libraries, that there could be either micro certifications or activities that they can undertake to say, okay, I've got this, more than just taking a course or more than just attending some of our webinars. It's something a little more solid than that. The school librarian certification program is going to go national, which is super exciting to have that happen. The Tempestry project is something that's going to come out, which is going to incorporate knitters and climate data by location. And we're trying to get this done over all 50 states. So that's a very exciting project that's coming. We're going to be partnering with the Seed Library Network. And we have, of course, our ongoing quarterly webinars about all those important topics that help you do a better job in this space. As I said, we're adding some board members to expand our reach and have some more expertise around our table as we meet. And we felt that we needed some more help in our academic space and in our school library space. Those individuals who we had on our board already were doing a fantastic job, but honestly, I think we're getting a little winded for all the work that we asked them to do. So it was time to try to beef up that part of it. Many of us who started came from the public library world, but our understanding of some of these other realms was very limited, and that's being generous. So it's really helpful to have Mandy on there and Sarah, who are joining for the academic world, and Vincent is coming to us to help us with our school media specialists and school librarians. So back way when we've started is we needed to have some sense of what we're here to do. And really our mission has been steadfast. So much so, Rebecca, when we met back in December at our retreat, we really, I think, started that conversation with the mission. To think about the world that we're living in currently. It's affected by the choices that this country makes and other countries make about who we have in our leadership roles. And we certainly wanted to reflect on, do things change for us? Do we have to speak differently about what we're doing? And I think after a very long conversation that was needed and necessary, we settled on the fact that we're going to continue to do what we're doing. We're going to continue to tell the story. We're going to continue to try to help libraries through the challenges that they face, because ultimately the things that matter aren't changing. And that is stronger communities that can be resilient in the face of whatever change is coming their way. And whether that change is like happening because of human beings doing to each other or to Mother Earth doing to us on their own and on its changing, it really doesn't matter. We all need to be ready to help one another through that crisis. And so we're going to try to continue to empower our library leaders to advance environmentally sound, socially equitable, and economically feasible practices to intentionally address climate change and co-create thriving communities.
Thank you, Matthew. From day one, I think our first retreat now was over 10 years ago. You've always reminded us to come back to our purpose, and that's how we make decisions. That's how we keep our hope going. That's how we keep our energy going. So I thought it was a great way to wrap up our formal remarks here for our annual report to our community by reminding everyone why we're here and why we are so passionate about what we do and why you're so passionate about what you're doing as well. So at this point, I just want to say thank you to Matthew Matthew, Roger, and Miguel for helping recap 2024 and talk a bit about where we're going in 2025. And we'd really love to hear from anyone online today who might have questions. So I think, Alex, if you don't mind, if there was anything that cropped up in the chat while we were yammering away, if there's anything we can answer for folks or things that people wanted to share that we might want to highlight in the remaining minutes that we have here together, I think this would be a good time for that.
No questions just yet. We did have a comment about some interest in the certification path for individuals. Deborah says, please keep us posted, which we will absolutely do. Glad to hear that folks are interested. And another Deborah also thanks and congrats on our town's reporting on San Diego Library sustainability efforts.
Nice. And Deborah, I think the individual certification opportunity is something we've been asked for since we started. And it was something that we have always had on the to-do list. And we finally see a path forward to make that happen. And a lot of it's due to the really, literally thousands of people we've spoken to, particularly at conferences, who are champions in their own organizations and looking to be as effective as possible in making the case not only for the work that they individually are doing, but to inspire maybe the higher ups in their organization to see what they see in terms of where we could be leading our libraries in the future. So we certainly buy into that and believe it. It's just been a matter of bandwidth to find the time and energy to create something like that. So we're finally here, and that's our hope to develop this coming year. So folks have questions, you're welcome to raise your hands, put something in the chat. I'll just share a little bit more about that Tempestry project. I bet some of you Googled that right away. It's a project that's been around for a few years and actually is an international project. And I found out the founders literally are up the street from my office. And I met them at a climate change mixer last summer, and I got very excited about the opportunity because we all know, particularly in public libraries, we have a large fiber arts community that are thriving through programs in our libraries. And so the idea of recruiting knitters across the country to knit these wall hangings, which represent the climate data, I have to say I have two of these hanging in my office right now. I should have brought them over to show you, but I'm allergic to the wool and I don't want to touch it right now. But they actually, at a glance, you can see immediately how much hotter it is during the summer here in New York. So I have data knitted for me in my office from 1905 and 2020-21. And you can see immediately the summers are twice as hot as they were 100 years ago. So it's a community art project. It's a collaborative art project. It's a catalyst for communications and conversations and hopefully partnerships that we're looking forward to doing in all 50 states, coming up with our partnership with them. So if you weren't familiar with them, check them out. They're really cool. All right, Alex, I yammered on long enough, hoping to give people time to either type or raise their hand. Anything else come through?
No, nothing else.
All right, cool. In that case, I'll say thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate the time, energy, and enthusiasm we see across the nation, really, at this point, when we meet people and talk to you and you shoot us email messages and high-five us in the hallways at conference. Thank you so much for being a part of what we've created here through the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. It really doesn't happen without you. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.